Hello, Zlata, coming to you from the south part of the state of Georgia in the United States. Today I'm doing a little special video for you since this one will be the last one for a while. We're going to go down to a place where I practice frequently on a river called the Canoochee River that's about 20 kilometers from my house. It's a beautiful day. I am a home health nurse, which means I travel around to see patients who are too sick to be at home by themselves, but yet not sick enough to be in the hospital. I have a $20 violin that I carry around with me and practice with on the road. Since I didn't spend much money for it, I figure I don't have to worry about if it gets broken or warped or whatever. This morning is quite beautiful. It is quite warm. It's about 35 degrees Celsius and about 100% relative humidity, which is very uncomfortable, but it is glorious to be in a beautiful place. The Canoochee is about 20-25 meters wide at this point, and it's not flowing very much. You can hear the various insects making their noise as we walk down toward the river. The Canoochee is in a very low-lying area that floods frequently, so there's lots of what some people would call swamp. The first question I want to ask today has to deal with left-hand position, and I've tried to position the camera where you can see what I'm talking about. The first thing I'm going to show you is my left-hand position that I typically use. It's what I've been doing for the last 3 years since I've been playing. So. Now, let me do just a few more things. I'm going to turn it a little bit so maybe you can see better. Now, my understanding for vibrato, and let me just show you that I can do vibrato guitar style or perhaps mandolin style. The areas where I seem to be having trouble, number one, when I put the violin up to my shoulder, and number two, the right hand with the bow. But the right hand with the bow is a separate issue, I realize. So it seems like to me that the frog house you were talking about would have me holding it something like that, where you can see some space in there. And I can see that it's easier to do vibrato with your hands like that. But when I let go of the violin with my right hand, I can't do it for some reason. The other possibility is to move the thumb down further, like that. Now, the second question that I have to ask is about, do you change your left hand position when you're doing vibrato versus not doing vibrato? In other words, if you have a long sustained note with a lot of vibrato, do you move your thumb down and put your finger down so you can shake your left hand more vigorously? I kind of doubt that, because classical violinists obviously do a lot of vibrato, and I can't imagine having to change your left hand position, particularly your left thumb position, every time you wanted to do vibrato. This song I'm going to play is part of a John Sousa march that's very popular in the United States around the 4th of July. I heard it on our Independence Day and I thought I can play that on violin. I looked it up on YouTube and there's some very, very difficult arrangements for 2 violins. So this is what I've been working on since the 4th of July, and admittedly lots of squeaks and problems and things I haven't figured out, but I just thought I would show you a little bit of it. I'll try to keep it slow. Obviously having problems with that part, figuring it out. Then the last part is Hello Zlata. I hope you've enjoyed this little different video showing you some of the scenes of South Georgia in the United States. I've enjoyed filming it. Unfortunately, this is going to be probably the last video I get to send you for some time. I have already unenrolled from Violin and Viola Academy so that I don't get charged again, because I simply haven't had time probably in the last 2 months to look at more than 2 or 3 videos a month. And that comes because I have to do a lot of travel and I'm not home. I do have my $20 violin here, which I take with me when I travel, and occasionally after lunch I'll sit down and have 10 or 15 minutes of practice, and that works out nicely for me. There are a couple of things that I would like to say that I've learned recently, and it's been because of you. The first thing that I've learned recently is I had asked you a question about slurring, because it seemed to me that I was able to do that and sound better, but you told me that every note should be bowed most of the time, and I believe it has definitely improved my tone. Also, I have learned to be a little more vigorous with the bow and not small movements with a lot of pressure, but instead a more fluid, longer movement. That also has helped me improve my tone recently. Another thing that has helped me improve my tone was I bought a set of Perlon strings, and I've been very, very pleased with them. This particular violin does not have the Perlon strings. They're on my regular violin. But I really like the tone. I like the fact that they're easier on my fingers as well. Another thing that I've learned from you recently is to try and make every note sound good. to make every note sing. So what I'm doing when I'm practicing now is, if I'm doing something that has a squeak or a muffled note in there, I seem to have as much trouble with muffled notes as I do squeaks. I will slow down, go back through, do it again. Having a lot of bow bouncing today. So, it's been a pleasure learning from you. You've taught me a lot about, oh, I forgot to show you my little strap that I invented to help hold this thing up. I tend to have neck trouble. I'm not sure what, but this is just a little thing. It hooks here and here. These are elastic and they're very stretchy. It won't harm the finish. Probably it would take a bullet to harm the finish on this one anyway. Goes around the back of my neck and helps hold the violin up and keeps me from getting a neck ache. This one I made adjustable, but the one I use with my other violin is not adjustable. Just simply goes around like that and helps hold it in place. I also have a flesh type chin rest on my other one too, but I can't get the case to close over the flesh chin rest, so I have to stick with the standard one on there. So let me just wind up by saying thank you very much for your attention. I think you've got a super academy. I really especially like the fact that the answer to every question with you is not more practice. I see the importance of it, but I also know that many of us are already practicing as much as we can, so we need to learn to listen better, to practice better by improving our sound, and it's most of all a joy because you're always smiling and encouraging and not dead serious like so many of the people who teach violin on YouTube. So thank you for your time. I hope down the road I'll be able to re-enroll in Violin and Viola Academy. Of course, by then it may have taken the world by storm. I hope so, with 100,000 students and you employing 200 teachers to teach them all. Best wishes, Zlata. This is Blair Faulk in the southern part of Georgia in the United States, saying ciao. Before I go, I just wanted to play a little thing for you here on my regular violin. This is my $60 violin instead of my $20 violin with the good bow that came with it. I recently bought a Bond Musica type rest with which I have been very pleased. And I also mentioned on the movie, I think, that I had invested in some Perlon strings. And I like the sound. I like the fact that they seem to play a little easier on my fingers. They don't seem to squeak as bad, which for me, that's a big thing. So let's see if I can play you something here. I'm sure we're going to have a car come by. This is the front yard of my house. Ciao, Zlata.